So we'll continue, and then we can take some questions on either Spain or California at the end. So I will gladly turn over the the speaking duties at this point to our next speaker, and we're very happy to have Dr. Carlos Aragon here. Dr. Aragon is the Senior Technician for the Sub-Directorate for Hydrological Planning with the Ministry of the Ecological Transition and Demographic Challenges in Spain as a translation. Dr. Aragon will be speaking on the EU approach to urban wastewater treatment, lessons learned and challenges from the negotiation of the 2024 Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. Dr. Aragon is a perfect speaker for this. He has a PhD in environmental technologies and a master's in integrated water management from the University of Cadiz in Spain. And he's been working in the water sector for more than 20 years. Before joining the public sector in 2020, worked for the Center for New Water Technologies in Seville, and where he led several innovative projects on sustainable technologies for wastewater treatment, mainly targeting small urban communities. And in the public sector, he's been working in the Water Quality Department, now for the Tagus River Basin Authority, and now a member of the Sub-Directorate for Hydrological Planning in the Directorate General for Water. And he works in the Sanitation and Wastewater Treatment Department and is involved in the data reporting to the EU Commission. So we're very happy to have Dr. Aragon join us, and I will turn it over to you. And you can use those.
Yes. Well, first of all, thanks for the presentation and also for inviting us, the Ministry for Ecological Transition, to take part in this really interesting workshop. And well, although in the first presentation, in the opening, there has been a specific slide about the implications and new requirements of this wastewater treatment directive, the one that has been recently approved. I will try to sum up a little bit these new requirements, because at the end, these new requirements supposes a really challenge for the Spanish government and also for the European community. So it's important to just have a slight idea about what we are facing right now. So just give you some ideas about how this new version of the Wastewater Treatment Directive has been revised. Well, the revision started in 2022, and well, after a long discussion among the different institutions in the European Union, we reached an agreement, and the directive, the new version of the directive, was approved on November 2024, and well, it was published on December, and it has entry in force from the 1st of January of this present year, 2025. Well, the revision was logical because the previous version was launched in 1991, so it means more than 30 years. So there were new challenges to be covered by the Urban Directive and Urban Wastewater Directive. So that's why they decided, the European Union decided to make this revision. So what is new? I'm going to present these new requirements very briefly. First of all, there has been an extension of the agglomerations to be covered by the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. So that means that we have to provide with appropriate collection systems and appropriate treatment systems to smaller agglomerations from 1,000, and in the previous one we were talking about 2,000 population equivalent. By 2035, we have to remove organic matter from these smaller, and of course also for the large agglomerations. And well, on the table, in the slide, you can see that the limits for the discharge of treated water has not changed. Just they have introduced like the TOC as an alternative to the COD determination. And about the removal of nitrogen and phosphorus, there has been a decrease in the concentration at the final effluent. So that means that we will have to remove more nitrogen and phosphorus from our wastewaters, and that is one of the major challenges in terms of the upgrading of the current and existent infrastructures. But we are also dealing now with micro-pollutants. So all member states should apply an additional treatment to remove these micro-pollutants. In those urban wastewater treatment plants that are with a load of 150,000 population equivalent and above. In the tables on the slide, you can see the micro-contaminants that are going to be controlled, and that they are the target contaminants to be removed from the water, from the wastewater. I mean, they have been chosen taking into account the representative of them, and also they can be used as indicators. The quaternary treatment will be also compulsory for those urban wastewater treatment plants with a load between 10,000 and 150,000 if they are located in what they call risk areas. So first of all, we will have to determine which these risk areas in order to check if they have to reduce or not, or remove or not micropollutants. And what is also really new in this urban wastewater treatment directive is that we will have to implement the extended producer responsibility for covering all the treatment, the quaternary treatment. And they have targeted two industries, the pharmaceuticals and the cosmetic ones. So these two industries will have to pay for the quaternary treatment, and also for at least 80% of the full cost of the implementation of this quaternary treatment, and also the cost for gathering data and on the products they are placing on the market. There are some exceptions. I mean, if they place less than 1 ton per year of the substance, they are not supposed to pay for the treatment. And also if the micropollutants that they are producing are rapidly biodegradable. So there are some exceptions, but as you can imagine, these two sectors are not very happy with this new extended producer responsibility. But anyway, we are in discussions with them in order to see how to implement smoothly this kind of extended responsibility system. Okay, there are other relevant issues also in this new directive. We are supposed to be the wastewater treatment sector is supposed to be energy and climate neutral by 2045. That means that we have to produce the energy we are consuming. We are aware that it's not always possible, so they have give us the opportunity to purchase at least 35% of the energy needed from external sources, but they have to be non-fossil ones, so green and renewable energy. There will be energy audits on the wastewater treatment plants every 4 years. Also, apart from organic matter, we will have to monitor the micropollutants, the microplastics, and also PFAS. And also, they have included also the monitoring of public health parameters. This is obviously related to the pandemic of COVID-19. So the thing is that they are preparing us for future health crisis, because they were aware that in the wastewaters we have a lot of information about how the pandemic went at that time. So it's like a tool for decision making in case of new public health emergencies. This this new version of the directive also deals with the management of storm waters. It also focuses on increasing circularity, water reuse. We will speak a little bit later about that, and also ensure access to sanitation. It is important to say that the Commission the European Commission has established like 2 dates for a revision and evaluation of this directive. So that means that at the end of 2033 and 2040, there will be an update of the directive. So it is expected that maybe no new requirements, but a revision of them, the limits imposed, or even those industries that have to pay for the quaternary treatment may be enlarged in the future. And well, now we are in terms of in the transposition of this directive into the Spanish law. So we will have to do it by the end of July 2027. That means that we will have to modify or repeal some of the current regulations in order to adopt these new requirements, but not only the ones that can be that are listed on the slide, but also some other related rules. And so all these new issues to be covered by the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive are really challenging for us as a member state. And first of all, we are facing a very tight timeline. Well, I don't know if you can see from here on the slide, but this is what is expected from all the state members for the following 14 years, okay? But we are a lot of homework to do in just the following or the next 3 years. And we have to be aware that all this, the implementation of the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive must match with the river basin management plans, because all the measures to be implemented in order to upgrade all the infrastructure and to provide with the required infrastructure to all those urban agglomerations, all these measures have to be or are listed in the river basin management plan. So we have to overlap both processes. And this is quite important because at the moment we are working right now in the 4th cycle of water planning. So that means that now we have to identify what are the needs for covering this new wastewater treatment directive. Here we can see more or less the number of agglomerations that have to, in some way, be provided with infrastructures or that have to be upgraded, their wastewater treatment plants. I will show you later the investment that is estimated for this kind of upgrading and construction of new infrastructures. But you can see that the number of agglomerations covered by the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive increases from 2,000 to 3,400. This is the first estimation. And well, you've got the different articles and the number of agglomerations to be involved on them. No? As I mentioned earlier, we need to reach energy neutrality, at least in 804 wastewater treatment plants. But the question is biogas valorization always feasible? And I think the answer is not. So we will have to, mainly in small agglomerations, I'm sure it's not feasible. So we will have to seek for solutions for producing the enough amount of green energy to be energy neutral by 2045. There are also some pending issues related to the monitoring and determination of microplastics, PFAS, and greenhouse gases emissions, and also how to implement this epidemiological surveillance that the European Union is pursuing. Another challenge, and during the opening session, it was one of the questions, how to promote wastewater reuse, water reuse, sorry, and how to deal with these stricter limits in the removal of nitrogen and phosphorus. So it's true that the directive gives it's not an exemption, but it is aware, the European Commission is aware that if the water is going to be reused, it has no sense to remove all the nitrogen and phosphorus. But how to do that, how to implement that in a wastewater treatment plant when where not the 100% of the effluent is going to be reused. So we will have part of the effluent that we'll have to accomplish with the strict nitrogen and phosphorus removal rates, and then we will have another portion that will not be. I mean, it's not supposed to reach or to achieve that kind of limit. So, how to deal that in a wastewater treatment plant, and also for us is quite challenging the implementation of the EPR scheme to fund or to cover all the quaternary treatment. It is true that we have previous experiences here in Spain, and we will consider or take into account all the lessons learned in those systems. And just to finish my presentation, what are we doing right now is preparing this national implementation program, apart from also doing the transposition of the directive. We have calculated, but this is a first approach, the investment that is needed or that will be needed. And for example, for secondary treatment, the total investment to accomplish with the new requirements of Article 6, are around 1,000 million euros in 20 years. For tertiary treatment, we are talking about 15,000 millions of euros to upgrade the existing infrastructures and providing new infrastructures to those agglomerations who are supposed to remove nitrogen and phosphorus. For the quaternary treatment, we are talking about more than 8,200 millions of euros that will have to be paid by the pharmaceuticals and cosmetic industries, at least the 80%. And there is this is a summarizing table, but what also we are working on is in the definition of this risk assessment protocol. It's something that is still undefined, but the Commission is working on that, so they will provide us with the guidelines. for developing this risk assessment. But you can see on the slide the deadline we have. At the end of 2030, we must have these risk areas completely defined, and well, it's going to be quite complicated. About the extended producer responsibility, we are a little bit worried, as I mentioned earlier, about the acceptance by the two targeted industries. But, well, we have been discussing with them how to implement this scheme. And also we are waiting for some guidelines and criteria from the Commission. And of course, we have also to update the way we are reporting the data to the Commission. And at the end, what they expect from member states is that we should provide permanently the data. So it's not a question of our reporting. It will be like a permanent access to the data. So we will have to deal with this challenge also in the near future. And that's all. Thanks very much for your attention. Thank you.
Yeah, Carlos, thanks for your presentation. And I find interesting this who pollutes space. I would like to know how will be this methodology. It's about how many sales these pharmaceutical and cosmetic companies do, or how you said, you need to pay this amount of money. Which will be the...
It's undefined at the moment, but we are... First of all, we want to see how this EPR was implemented for the other sectors, such as the solid waste management, and there are other sectors also which have already this kind of EPR system. What we are doing first is calculating the investment needed, but it's true that we don't know how they will have to pay for that. If they will be asked for a tax, depending on the amount of substances that they are producing. At the end, this money must go to the operators, who will be in charge on carry on this kind of treatment. So there are many uncertainties. So it's we are still waiting for the guidelines from the European Commission also to see how to implement this question. But this is one of the most tricky issues that comes with this new urban wastewater treatment directive.
And you mentioned the solids. How is done with the solids?
Yes, it's like Ecoembes and Ecovidrio is like this kind of system. So we will try to do a similar scheme for implementing this EPR.
Yeah, thank you very much both for the interesting presentations. Just follow-up question to Carlos on like the industries. Aren't they like treating their wastewater on site in their let's say institutions before it is being discharged or connected to the system? And if so, why you are paying, or why they should pay additional money if they are already doing this on site?
This extended producer responsibility is not for the direct contamination they are producing, or it's about the, well, as you know, during our day-to-day, we are producing and we are discharging such kind of micro-pollutants, medicines and cosmetics, because we are using them. So the thing is that instead of we, the citizens, pay for this quaternary treatment because of the discharge of these substances, what the European Commission says is that are the producers the ones who have to pay for that? But not for treating the wastewaters they are generating. It's for treating the wastewater we all are generating.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a way to because at the end what they want is to push these industries to develop new products less harmful for the environment. And it's true that it is quite complicated. But it's the way the European Commission has identified to cover the cost of this quaternary treatment.
And my second question to Eric, just in relation to the affordability you mentioned, I think, this is interesting. I wasn't sure about what did you mean by affordability. Is it like the users? And if the users are unable to pay, what about the service? Who is maintaining it? And what kind of alternatives are there? And is there any attempt to make it affordable at this stage? And one last comment, just to combine like the comment by Carlos in relation to energy production from the wastewater, which is, if we talk about biogas, that might be unfeasible. Referring back to what Professor Mansour has been saying at the beginning, that at least we are producing energy that it is sufficient to cater, like, I don't know how many number of thousand houses. So in this connection, how we can make like this kind of link. Thank you.
Yeah, to answer really quickly. So we've had about a decade of work in the U.S. at the national and the state level to identify how we define affordability in the water sector. And you can think about it for the municipality, for the institution. And so do they have enough capital to cover their costs and funding to cover the O&M and everything else? And so generally speaking, larger systems tend to be better at that, and then smaller systems, a lot are falling short. And then also at the household level, we'll evaluate affordability. There's a lot of research on identifying the best ways to do this, but the main ones that are done are either use a income marker from median household income from census surveys, or tag it to sort of household costs, annual household costs, and then what percentage of that comes from the water sector. The actual amount historically was like 1.5%. Now we're recognizing it should be more like 4% of household expenditures, if that's affordable. And then on the energy production side, so wastewater facilities will try to maximize their revenue in a lot of different ways of, if biosolids or energy production. We don't have a ton of facilities that are producing energy through kind of the significant revenue streams. We have a lot of renewable energy in California that is not aligned with the needs of the treatment plants, and so that's a constant challenge across sectors. Generally speaking, that there's often attempts to be able to find more revenue in a treatment plant to pay for these sources, but because we have a pretty significant ratepayer base, a lot of times falls back onto the user charges. I think there were one or two other questions, and then maybe if we can make them fast, we can get through all of them.
Thank you for the presentation. I have one comment that derives into a question. A first reaction is, I'm not sure the polluter pays principle applies to the extended producer responsibility. The pharmaceuticals are producing the product, but who's polluting are the consumers. So that's just for debate. But the question that derives from that is, this will probably lead to increased medical prices. And if there has been at least a reflection on the affordability and the equity of access product to that. Probably not, but.
I'm personally speaking, I mean, not representing the ministry, and I agree with you. I think at the end, I mean, I'm me, myself, Carlos Aragon, okay? Not to... I think that there's a big possibility that the producers are gonna increase the price of their products. It's not idea. I mean, the European Commission don't want us to pay more for the medicines nor for the cosmetic, but well, probably there will be an increase. Okay. I cannot say any more about that. Yeah. Sure. It's something.
And a last question?
Yes, okay. My question is for Eric. Congratulations to you both for your presentations, but I have here some stats from the State Water Resource Control Board from California, and we see that each year the amount of effluent in wastewater treatment plants decrease because the water demand is increasing with these water conservation policies. But my question is, will we reach a threshold where no more water can be recycled as the amount of wastewater is decreasing? Because I read that California is putting big efforts to increase the total volume of recycled water, but we have the constraint that the amount of effluent is decreasing each year. So how could we manage this problem?
Eventually, there would be a volume that when you do treatment, it's only effective to be able to recover a certain percentage of the water. So there's going to be a small amount that's lost. So that circle eventually shrinks to zero if it's not being subsidized through like precipitation and imported water and so forth. So in principle, yes, but we're really far away from that volumetric value. The State Water Board, our State Water Code has set policies for individuals to be using up potentially 42 gallons per person per day of indoors. That's a standard going forward, and currently up for discussion as to whether that'll stick around, would be the way to say it. It was sort of controversial in its implementation. If you have that standard, there's still a lot of water to be reused, and there's still a lot of wastewater that is not being treated to advanced water standards for reuse. And in addition to all of our wastewater right now goes for indirect or non-potable reuses. So we'll either inject it in the ground for groundwater recharge, or it'll be non-potable reuses. In 2024, we did approve direct potable reuse. And so if we do that, then we get to maximize the volume of the usage that we're getting. So we still have a ways to go before we really have to worry about it, but we definitely hear that discussion in the public debate. You're right. Yeah. All right, I think with that, we'll wrap up the morning session. So we're head to break. And thanks again for the opening, and then also for Dr. Aragon for joining us for the wonderful presentations.
The coffee will be served. Excuse me? Yes, in the. Coming back here. Oh, so we don't have a coffee break now? No. Oh, yeah. Come back at 12. Yeah, we better.